So children, today we have a new lesson from your English textbook, Unit 2, titled The Eyes Have It. This is a short story about an encounter between two passengers on a train. The main characters here are the writer himself, he is Ruskin Bond, he is blind, and a girl who is also blind. So I begin here. The narrator says about his journey by train to a place called Dehradun. I had the train compartment to myself up to Rohana, then a girl got in. So the narrator said that when he was on his way to Dehradun, the train reached a place called Rahana. Up to there, he was alone in his compartment. Then a girl got in. The couple who saw her were probably her parents. As he could not see who put the girl in the train, he guessed that they could be her parents. They seemed very anxious about her comfort, and the woman gave the girl detailed instructions as to where to keep her things, when not to lean out of windows, and how to avoid speaking to strangers. So, since the lady who came to put her in the train, she gave many instructions to the girl, like where to keep her things after entering in the compartment, and she also instructed her not to put her head or hand or outside the windows, and also to avoid speaking to strangers. Also, these kind of instructions were given to the girl by her mother. That is the reason, means why the woman who came in. So the narrator who could not see the woman guessed that that woman could be this girl's mother. Next paragraph. They called their goodbyes and the train pulled out of the station. So when it was time for the train to start its journey, the girl's parents waved their goodbyes, gave goodbyes, and then the train began to move. As I was totally blind at the time, my eyes sensitive only to light and darkness, I was unable to tell what the girl looked like. Now the girl got inside the compartment and she was sitting there. Now the narrator was completely blind and he did not know how the girl looked like. But I knew she wore slippers from the way they slapped against her heels. But one thing he knew, that the girl wore slippers, which means when she was walking, it was tapping against her heels. So he could make out that the girl wore slippers. It would take me some time to discover something about her looks, and perhaps I never would. But I liked the sound of her voice and even the sound of her slippers. Now he is just sitting in the corner and he thinks that it would take some time for him to find out about how she looks, or he may not be able to, he would never be able to know how she looks because he is blind. But he admits that two things he liked about her, that was her voice, because he had heard her speaking to her parents. So two things he liked, one was her voice, other one was the sound of her slippers. Are you going all the way to Dehra? I asked. I must have been sitting in a dark corner because my voice startled her. She gave a little exclamation and said, I didn't know anyone else was here. So here when the girl entered the compartment and after her getting seated there, the man just, our narrator just asked her whether she was going all the way to Dehradun. Then suddenly when she heard the voice, because she was also blind, she did not know anyone else was there. So as soon as at once she heard the voice, she was startled, she was surprised to hear. Then she answered by telling that she did not know anyone else was there. Well, it often happens that people with good eyesight fail to see what is right in front of them. They have too much to take in, I suppose, whereas people who cannot see or see very little have to take in only the essentials, whatever registers tellingly on their remaining senses. So here the man says that people who have good eyesight, they fail to see what is in front of them, which means they see many things and they take things for granted, which means he actually meant about those people who have good eyesight, they miss many things. He also said that people who cannot see or who sees very little have to take in only the essentials, whatever registers tellingly on their remaining senses. So here the meaning is that people who cannot see or who sees very little, they see what is required, no? The essentials, and whatever registers tellingly on their remaining senses. So it registers means whatever they notice it remains in their senses. Then the girl said, I didn't see you either. Sorry, the narrator said that he also did not see her. But he said that he heard her coming in. I wondered if I would be able to prevent her from discovering that I was blind. Provided I kept my seat, I thought it shouldn't be too difficult. The girl said, I am getting off at Sharanpur. My aunt is meeting me there. Now, the narrator did not want to make the girl know that he was blind. So, he just sat there, he did not even move. Then the girl told him that she was getting down at a place called Sharanpur and her aunt would be coming to meet her there. Then I had better not get too familiar, I replied. Aunts are usually formidable creatures. So formidable means like cause fear, no? So he said that, oh, if your aunt is coming to meet you there, better we don't get familiar too much. Then the girl asked him, where are you going? Then he said, to Dehra and then to Mussoorie. Oh, how lucky you are. I wish I were going to Mussoorie. I love the hills, especially in October. So the girl also wished, when she came to know that he was going to Mussoorie, she also wished to go there because the place was very beautiful, especially in the month of October. Yes, this is the best time, I said, calling on my memories. The hills are covered with wild dahlias, the sun is delicious, and at night you can sit in front of a log fire and drink a little brandy. So this narrator, he was not blind when he was born, no? Gradually he became blind. So when he was able to see, he had already visited Mussoorie. So he knew how the scenery would be, how the situation is. So he recalled, that's why it is said he called to his memories, no? What he had seen before. He just said that the hills are covered with wild dahlias, the sun is delicious, and at night you can sit in front of the log fire and drink a little brandy. Most of the tourists have gone and the roads are quiet and almost deserted. Yes, October is the best time. So in the month of October, only few visitors go there. So he says that is the best time to visit the place. She was silent. I wondered if my words had touched her or whether she thought me a romantic fool. Then I made a mistake. So, since the girl was silent, did not say anything, he thought that the girl felt bad or not, so he just apologized. Then he tried to change the topic. He asked her, what is it like outside? She seemed to find nothing strange in the question. Had she noticed already that I could not see? But her question removed my doubts. She asked him, why don't you look out of the window? She asked. So the girl did not know that the narrator was blind, so she asked him another question. Why he I moved easily along the berth and felt for the window ledge. The window was open and I faced it, making a pretense of studying the landscape. I heard the panting of the engine, the rumble of the wheels, and in my mind's eye, I could see telegraph posts flashing by. So I told you already, he did not want to make the girl know that he was blind. So he moved easily along the berth and felt for the window ledge. He went closer to the window. The window was open and he faced it, making a pretense. Pretense means like as if to show that, means like act as if something is true or real, but it is not true. So he was actually pretending to study the landscape. He wanted to show the girl that he was looking outside. He could hear the panting of the engine, means sound of the engine, the rumble meaning is even there, the heavy sound of the wheels, and in his mind's eye he could see telegraph post flashing by. So here he could see the telegraph post, means he had travelled before when he had eyesight. I told you already he was not born blind, so he had seen before, no, how he had also experienced how it is like traveling by a train. So he was actually recalling to his mind all those past memories, how it is like while you travel in the train, how the landscape will be outside, how the things would be moving, especially the telegraph post and so on. Have you noticed, I ventured, that the trees seem to be moving while we seem to be standing still? So he asked the girl whether if she noticed that the trees seem to be moving while traveling in a train. That always happens, she said. Do you see any animals? Now the girl asked him back. That is always there. So when you travel by a train or bus or any vehicle, you feel like the trees are moving, all the buildings or whatever things outside it is moving, and you seem to be sitting still or standing still. The girl asked him another question, if he could see any animals outside. He replied, no. I knew that there were hardly any animals left in the forest near Dehra. So he was very sure that not many animals left there. So he just said that he did not see any animals. I turned from the window and faced the girl, and for a while we sat in silence. So and after this they remained silent for some time. You have an interesting face, I remarked. I was becoming quite daring, but it was a safe remark. Few girls can resist flattery. She laughed pleasantly, a clear, ringing laugh. So when after some time he again started the conversation, he told her that she had an interesting face. And then for this she laughed heartily. It's nice to be told I have an interesting face, she said. I'm tired of people telling me that I have a pretty face. So it was not he who had said for the first time that she had a beautiful face. Many others also had told. So she said that she was tired of hearing from people that she had an interesting or beautiful face. Oh, so you do have a pretty face, thought I. And aloud I said, well, an interesting face can also be pretty. So he did not know whether the girl was pretty. He just made the remark. He only said that she had an interesting face. Then she accepted it. Then he realized that she was really a pretty one. You are a very gallant young man, she said. But why are you so serious? The gallant meaning a man who is polite and attentive to women. Then she asked him why he was so serious. I thought then that I would try to laugh for her, but the thought of laughter only made me feel troubled and lonely. So he wanted to, or he felt like laughing, but he did not, because he felt that if the sound of his laughter would make him more troubled and lonely. We'll soon be at your station, I said. So they were reaching near her station, so she would be getting down there. So he just, because he knew the place, because he was a regular traveler, so he knew what the station would be approaching next. So he told her that the next station would be hers. Thank goodness it's a short journey. I can't bear to sit in a train more than 2 or 3 hours. So she thanked God for giving her a short journey, because her the place that she had to go was very near. She said also that she did not like traveling by train more than 2 or 3 hours. Yet I was to sit there for almost any length of time just to listen to her talking. So the girl was bored to travel, but man was prepared to sit there and listen to her any amount of time. Her voice had the sparkle of a mountain stream. As soon as she left the train, she would forget our brief encounter, but it would stay with me for the rest and for some time later. So he is thinking in his mind that once the girl leaves the train, she would forget all about what happened in the train, but that would not be with him. He would remember throughout his life, so to say, the journey that he had with her. The engine's whistle shrieked, the carriage wheels changed their sound and rhythm. The girl got up and began to collect her things. I wondered if she wore her hair in a bun or if it was plaited. Perhaps it was hanging loose over her shoulders, or was it cut very short? Now the train's whistle could be heard. The carriages went on. Now, which means the station was approaching. So the girl got up and collected her things. She was getting ready to get down. And as he could not see the girl, he was just wondering whether she tied her hair in a bun or it was just plaited or it was hanging loose over her shoulders. He wanted to know how she had arranged her hair. The train drew slowly into the station. Outside there was the shouting of porters and vendors and a high-pitched female voice near the carriage door. That voice must have belonged to the girl's aunt. So the station reached, the girl was about to get down. So in the meantime he could hear the shouting of the coolies, porters and vendors, means those people who are selling things. And in the midst of all, he could also hear the sound of a woman, lady. It was a very high-pitched sound. She was calling out to this girl. So he guessed that that woman would be the girl's aunt. Goodbye, the girl said. So the girl wished the man goodbye and she got down. She was standing very close to me, so close that the perfume from her hair was tantalizing. The tantalizing means here it is something that excites and interests us but remains out of reach. I wanted to raise my hand and touch her hair, but she moved away. Only the scent of perfume still lingered where she had stood. There was some confusion in the doorway. So the girl was getting down. So on the way some kind of confusion was there. She could not see, so she was feeling the way and going. So she might have dashed someone. Anyway, there was a confusion. A man getting into the compartment stammered an apology. Then the door banged and the vault was shut out again. So the girl got out. So before getting out, she might have dashed someone. So the man who got inside asked sorry from her. Then the door was closed and then the man was sitting alone there. Alone, no other one also entered there. I returned to my berth. The guard blew his whistle and we moved off. Once again, I had the game to play and a new fellow traveler. So what game he was playing here? He was playing the game that he was pretending to be blind. So the girl did not know that he was blind, but another passenger entered. So he also did not want that passenger to know that he was blind. So the next passenger sat in the same compartment where our Ruskin Bond was sitting. The train gathered speed. The wheels took up their song. The carriage groaned and shook. I found a window and sat in front of it, staring into the daylight that was darkness for me. So once again the train began to pick up speed, and he found a window and sat in front of it, just like before, staring into the daylight that was darkness for him. Outside it was bright day, but everything was dark in front of him. So many things were happening outside the window. It could be a fascinating game guessing what went on out there. So he was just sitting and thinking what was happening outside the train. The man who had entered the compartment broke into my reverie. So the man who entered after the girl left, he actually wanted to talk with this narrator. So he started. You must be disappointed, he said. I'm not nearly as attractive a traveling companion as the one who just left. So that man who entered, he told Ruskin Bond that he would be disappointed to see another passenger because he is not as interesting as the girl who just left. Then Ruskin Bond said, she was an interesting girl. Can you tell me, did she keep her hair long or short? So he wanted to know whether the girl kept her hair, that was his interest, whether she tied her hair in a bun or she had plaited her hair or she let loose her hair. So he asked her how it was. Then the other man said, I don't remember. sounding puzzled. It was her eyes I noticed, not her hair. So the man was puzzled. He was thinking why Ruskin Bond did not notice her hair. So he said, I did not notice her hair. What I saw was her eyes. She had beautiful eyes, but they were of no use to her. So the man noticed that she had beautiful eyes, but they were of no use, means they were eyes. She could not do anything with her eyes because she was completely blind. She was completely blind. Didn't you notice? So he asked him another question, if he had noticed that she was blind.